In a previous video, I asked the question, do you ever load an approach and get this big red arc that takes you where you don't want to go? The answer is probably yes, and it annoys a lot of people. Well, here's a way to fix that. But we can't get rid of the arc, but we can tell the airplane to go where we want it to go, and we can bypass it. This method works great for Vatsim users if you're getting vectors to final and they're taking you outside of a particular fix. It also works if you're just playing on your own and you don't want to fly the big red arc and you just want to fly and intercept a approach course outside the final approach fix. So on the RNAV 6 Yankee approach into Teterboro, I want to intercept the final approach course outside Dandy. Select flight plan. Then scroll down to the point after Dandy, which you can see is stick intersection. Select stick. And then activate leg to waypoint. You can see over on the PFD, we now have Dandy and then direct stick. So that waypoint, or that route, I should say, is activated. And you can see the final approach course is actually in the HSI now. And in real life, the airplanes I fly, we use a technique that does this exact same thing. We'll go direct to a point and then draw the final approach course, which we just type in the final approach course manually, and this essentially does that exact same thing. When using this procedure, it's best to be in heading if you're actually needing to use this. If ATC is vectoring you, like in Vatsim or even in the game, you're going to be in heading mode. But when you're close to final on about a 45-degree intercept, you can press nav. And I have done this using just nav only. It works sometimes. When it doesn't work, like right now, Dandy is ahead of us and to our right, but if we were past Dandy and we press it, if we press nav, it's just going to make a left turn and intercept the final approach course. That's all this is really doing, is just intercepting the final approach course. And another thing that this does not do correctly in FS2020 2020 is when you're doing an RNAV approach, the glide path that takes you down to the runway doesn't activate until you're past the last fix prior to the runway. So what I've done here to make it closer to real life, I've done the exact same procedure that I just did, and I selected runway 06 and activated that leg. And when I did that, the glide path, the little pink diamond, went up to the top of the indicator the way it should. Normally in FS2020 2020, once you pass that last waypoint prior to the runway, the glide path comes down quickly, and if you're not quick on hitting the approach button, it won't capture the glide path and fly it down. But using this method, it's going to intercept the final approach course as it's getting ready to do right now. I've got the approach armed, so when the glide path comes down, it will intercept it and fly it down to the runway. With this method, you can catch the glide path a lot farther out. You can actually watch the glide path come down the way it should. The way the sim does it, it cycles to the next waypoint and then the runway, and then the glide path drops down rapidly to about 1 dot high, or centered immediately. So I actually filmed this twice using both methods. I put them side by side, so we'll fast forward and I'll show you that right now. The PFD on the left is the original that we were using, where I selected the runway and then activated that leg. Look at where the glide path is on the screen on the right. It's below us. When the waypoints cycle and you go from stick to runway 6 right there, the glide path is immediately centered. That's the way FS2020 2020 does it. It doesn't do it that way in real life. The one on the left is the way that it looks in real life. In FS2020 2020, you can do it either way. In the real world, it would be different, but in FS2020 2020, you can do it the way I did it on the left, and it should still keep you above all the altitudes at each individual waypoints and still intercept the glide path. Thank you for watching, and I do have some more videos in the works. I'm going to do an NDB approach, a localizer back course approach tutorial, a tutorial on Navigraph, and much more. I have quite a list from people and stuff I've thought of as well. And if you have an idea for a video, or if you want to see something in particular, please don't hesitate to ask. Some of the best videos I've had come from suggestions by you guys, so I really appreciate that stuff. Thank you.